Hello, hello, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about, well not today, in this video we're going to be talking about the two different types of sources. So in the first video we were talking about primary source, right? Which are, this is the time where you answer back, by the way. You talk back to this, which are sources, artifacts that come right from the time period and right from the source. The second type would be the secondary. The secondary focuses on really using primary sources to write and to document history. And this could differ in some cases. For instance, a primary source could be a secondary source at a time frame. For instance, let's say somebody wrote a book, right? A book about the First World War. At the time period, that book was a secondary source. However, now that we look back, we see this book as a primary source, that it echoes the time frame that it was written. But but in this regard, you have to understand that secondary sources that are written today about the First World War include primary sources. And in this video we're going to be looking at two types of primary sources: a map and an audio recording of a veteran. And secondly, we're going to transition into a National Geographic article that uses maps but is a primary source. So it uses the primary source of the maps to further elaborate and to further explain how maps were used in the First World War. So let's dive right into that. So let's differentiate between what a primary source is and what exactly a secondary source. So here in front of us we have a map of Belgium, and it's scaled into the different zones of it. Belgium was a very prominent area of attack because the Germans, they swooped in from Belgium. So this map would be right from the war, and this would be an artifact from the past. Thus, it will be a primary source. Let's see, the item is dated 1915, and it was used by the British. Another primary source would be just somebody, like a veteran for an instance, talking about how the conditions were in the trenches. And this is a British officer. The item is dated 1975 because this question was asked to this veteran in 1975. However, his account and his experience was in the Great War, and thus this serves as a document, as an archive, and it's why it is as an audio recording of it.
Trenches, did they become pretty dirty, in fact?
Well, of course they were always dirty. There was never a clean trench, dry, that you could brush out. You were always over your boots, and sometimes just below your knees in thick mud, creamy mud. So, I mean, you see, duckboards became impossible in those conditions because they floated, and you could break your legs standing on a duckboard that suddenly gave way, you see, so one had no duckboards. One tried draining the trenches and putting the duckboards on wood platforms, but it was an awful job and it was never satisfactory.
How could you try to drain the trench?
By digging it bigger, and putting 2 pieces of wood joined together, you see, down into the bottom with notches on them where that board rested 12 or 14 inches above it. There was so much water that it overcame, so it was soon gave up that job.
Yes. This continual immersion in water, what sort of health problems did that create?
Well, the men had colds and that sort of thing, but those days they didn't take any notice of them. But your feet got soft, you see. In the winter it was terrible. You could get frostbite and that. You lost a lot of men. Well, not so much at the beginning of the war, but in 17, that very bad winter, I thought we lost hundreds more, I should think, with frostbite and what they call trench feet, and wounded.
What was trench feet?
Same thing, but the frostbite was a further stage of it. When you took your boots off, all your, like a washerwoman's hand, you know, all wrinkles, all your toe and everything was shrunken, terrible, awful.
That would be a primary source and a primary account from the war, talking about the trenches, and we could differ this from this article, which is not allowing me in. So here we are. We're back into the This is the National Geographics, and they have a bunch of. Right here, they're showing you primary sources from the First World War. Really cool maps. But what is the secondary source? Are there... Nope, not their cruises. Are how they talk and explain about the map. So let's say you quote, by the time the United States entered the First World War, that wouldn't be coming from a primary source. This article is a secondary source that includes primary sources. This is how you differentiate the two, and hopefully this will help you when you look into articles that are talking about the World War and yet are not primary sources because it's coming from our current time. They're just talking about the First World War in that respect. We have now reached the end of this lesson, Lesson 2. Takeaway from this lesson is to first looking at the primary source, and how diverse you can go with primary, which is helpful. Secondly would be the secondary source. And a key thing to remember here would be, let's say you go on Wikipedia, right? Great, Wikipedia, not the best place to do your research, but sure, you go on Wikipedia, and it shows you all these pictures, all these primary sources. But Wikipedia isn't a primary source, it's a secondary source. So keep that in mind when you're looking into different sites. Finally, and I'm going to end this. Finally, if you have any concerns, any confusions, any questions, so questions, concerns, comments, anything, please comment below. Let me know what's going on, and also provide some feedback. Does this work? Does this help? That's always appreciated. Thanks so much for watching this, and I hope it helps. I hope you have a great day. I hope that you have a wonderful day. Peace out.